if you have a garden going this summer, then I'm sure you are just as busy as we are getting out in your garden and harvesting all of those lovely crops that you have planted. It is the season of giving right now, and our garden is definitely giving us lots of goodies. We've got plenty of strawberries and raspberries and blackberries, and so we've been getting out into the garden and trying to preserve what we've grown, and we've been sharing a few different shorts and blog posts and videos on how we preserve some of our fruits and vegetables. But if that's something you're interested in, I'm doing my best to get everything up on our blog, which is www.thebluegrassfamily.com. So if you are interested in any of those recipes, we share natural homemaking southern recipes and the family farm there on our blog, as well as here on YouTube and other social media accounts if you're interested in keeping up with all of that. So we are in the midst of a busy season. It's obviously harvest time for many of the fruits and vegetables and things in our gardens, but we're finding peace in the simple life. And I think that sometimes when we talk about living a slower life or a more simple life here in the country, and you go out and you buy a piece of land and you start gardening and you start doing things, there's quite a bit of upkeep in all of that. So even though you're living a slower or more simple life, so to speak, it definitely doesn't mean that you aren't busy. And so I think that whenever we are in the midst of these busy seasons, just like we are now, it's important to try to be intentional with our time and also just with our own inner peace. I think getting in the garden and harvesting the fruits and vegetables is a wonderful way to find peace, because it gets you outside. You get to listen to the beautiful sounds of nature and the songs of the birds, and I think that's a very peaceful life to live. But I think also sometimes we can allow all of these other things to kind of consume our time, and we definitely have to be mindful about how much time we're spending doing all of these things, and we have to be intentional about actually slowing down. So a lot of times in the mornings we have a little bit of a slow time, just kind of having coffee and getting out and sitting on the porch or the patio. And then a lot of times in the evenings we do the kind of the same thing, and we let the kids play outside and have fun. And so they are technically more simple times. We're trying to live a more simple life, but when you're growing your own food and you're raising your own meat, things like that, there is a lot of work that goes into that. So we are excited to share with you guys just some of our ideas on how to be more intentional with your time and to simplify your life and to enjoy this season that you're living in. One of the ways that has been pretty difficult for me, but it is so important in finding peace in the simple life, is learning to say no. It's hard to say no whenever you are a born people pleaser and you don't want to let other people down. But one of the things about farming and homesteading and growing your own food in your garden or raising your own animals is that it is going to take a lot of your time, energy, and efforts. And that is something that you really have to be mindful of and considerate of whenever you are trying to find a good balance between everything that you need to get done at home and all of the responsibilities that home require from you. You have to learn what you want to say yes to. So if you want to say yes to growing your own food and you want to say yes to raising your own animals, you're probably going to have to say no to being away from home for long periods of time or from leaving your home very often, because you need to be there in order to take care of your animals, water your garden, take care of your harvest and your crops. You're not going to be able to go and run and be super busy in that sense. So your life at home may not necessarily be slow, because you are going to be busy growing your garden and harvesting all of the vegetables and fruits and raising your own farm animals and things like that. You're going to be busy, but it's the intentionality of what's behind why you want to do that. Why do you want to grow your own food and raise your own animals? And I believe that if you truly want to say yes to those things, then you'll learn what you need to say no to, and you'll have a better understanding of that type of lifestyle, because it is definitely a sort of lifestyle shift from what the normal worldly lifestyle is, which is kind of go, 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 and never being home. But what we really want as a family is to be home, is to cultivate the home and to be happy at home. And so we want to be here, we want to be enjoying the things that we're doing and doing things with our hands and staying active, but within the walls of our home and on our land here at the Bluegrass family. So along with learning to say no, we also kind of need to understand what our limits are, and that we can't do absolutely everything. So I think that this kind of all or nothing mindset often robs us of really taking a step forward. Just for example, I wanted to make this chow chow relish, which is what I'm making, and the entire recipe is over on the blog, which is www.thebluegrassfamily.com. But our cabbage heads weren't quite ready. The ones that I planted weren't quite ready for me to harvest out of our garden, but I wanted to get some of these things already started. So we have grown, we've grown a lot of broccoli and we've frozen that. We have lots of strawberries that we've grown frozen or we've made jam with. And we've grown, we have lots of tomatoes, but we were a little bit late on planting some green beans and corn and cucumbers and things like that. So as far as getting just our preservation started, I wanted to go and supplement a few different things into this recipe. So instead of feeling like I have to grow every single thing myself, I took some of the things from our garden, like the jalapenos and the green tomatoes, and I went into a local farm here where we live, and I bought some cabbage and red pepper, banana pepper, and onion. And so it's just about, not necessarily about having this all or nothing mindset, but just allowing yourself to take a step forward in the learning process, where maybe all of the vegetables you wanted for this recipe aren't ready at the same time, but you're going to allow yourself a little bit of grace in the learning process. Growing a garden and doing all of these things by hand, it's going to take you some time to learn, and you need to be able to be okay with making some mistakes and having some failures and not being able to do it all at once, all on your own. And so that's something that's been difficult for me, and I've had to learn through the years, is to just extend grace to myself. If I make a mistake, I try to learn from it. And especially when I'm in the kitchen and learning new recipes, canning and preservation out of the garden, that is all very new to me. That's not something that I grew up doing. My grandma, she grew a huge garden. She was my great-grandmother actually, but she grew a huge garden and she preserved tons all the time. And so I have some of the recipes that she used in a cookbook, but I wasn't actually really in the kitchen much with her. And so these are things I've had to actually teach myself, and a lot of the projects that we've done here on the farm are things that we've had to actually teach ourselves. So we've had to read about them, we've had to watch videos, and we've had to be okay with making mistakes. And so that's something that I don't want people to be deterred from whenever they start to raise a garden and they want to learn to can and preserve their own food, is it can become very overwhelming. And I don't want that to turn people away from trying. So that all or nothing mindset can really get you in more than one area, one area of your life. So just be mindful of that, and to remember that you can supplement where you need to supplement things. You don't have to learn everything at once, and it's a journey and a process over several years to learn how to do these things. So, along with the all or nothing mindset, I also think that it's really important to remember that we can't compare where we are right now on our learning journey to where someone is that has been doing these things for many, many years. So, if you're new to homemaking, you're new to homesteading, you're new to growing a garden or raising a farm, don't allow the thief of comparison to rob you from the joy of learning. That is, the learning process is part of the joy. So even though, yes, you're learning, you may make mistakes and things like that, that's is what is exciting. And so whenever you're starting to learn these things, or say you're a homemaker and you learn to set up a good process or system for your home that really works, and you set up a cleaning routine and you start doing and implementing those things, and after a few weeks you really feel that stress go away from you because you've created a system that works really well for your family. That is a sense of accomplishment, and you feel the same way whenever you learn new things such as gardening and growing your own food and canning and preserving or raising your own farm animals. There is a sense of pride and accomplishment, and that is something that money truly cannot buy. These skills that we're teaching ourselves are life skills that you can pass on to your kids, and they're not going to forget the memories that they've made with you doing these things. You're going to be proud of yourself for teaching yourself and pushing through these hard moments. And it's just that wonderful sense of accomplishment that you really, really can't, like I said, put a price on. As homemakers and gardeners and farmers, these are our titles. This is what we say that we do for a living, and we do these things every single day. They are all of the little tasks that go unnoticed that get done. But I think that it's important to remember, just like with the thief of comparison, is that you and your family are unique, and your needs and aspirations and desires are all unique. And so not everything is going to be the same for my family as it would be for your family, and what we're wanting in our life may be different than what you're wanting in your life. But I think that whenever you are searching for a more simple and a more peaceful lifestyle, I think that what we need to remember is that the expectation and the reality don't always match up. Like I said, whenever you are trying to learn to grow a garden and raise your own animals and kind of do this new homesteading thing, then you need to understand that it's a lot of work, like we've talked about. And what works for our family may not work for your family, and that is okay. You, as a homemaker and a farmer, homesteader, gardener, can learn what works for you and your family. And that's really what we want. We want to help to inspire other families to really come together, to cultivate their homes, to bring their family members in, and to make their homes peaceful and comforting and the oasis for their family unit. And every family is unique, and so we're just excited. This is an exciting time. We've really dreamed these dreams up of this whole homesteading and farming goal for many years. This has been many years in the process, and so like I said, this has been a journey of learning and failing and making mistakes and continuing on, and it's a never-ending process, and we're just happy to be able to share what we've learned with you all along the way. But I think it's really important for us to kind of have these open conversations of how that the expectation and the reality don't always match up. But inner peace is important, and finding that in a garden and growing your own food and raising your own farm animals, that is a wonderful way to find peace. And being out in the country and connecting to nature and really raising your family in this manner. This is kind of an older kind of lifestyle that we want to live and cultivate, a slower life, a more simple life. That's what we want, but it doesn't always mean that we're not busy or not being productive. Those are two of the main things that we are doing most of the time, but it's just learning to do these things with our hands and getting our hands you know, we're just learning, and that's what's important. Just keep learning, keep going, and I'm sure that throughout the years you'll look back at where you are and you'll be like, wow, I've really grown and learned so much. So give yourself grace. We're so happy that you all have been with us today. I hope you've taken something away from this video, and we hope you all are doing well.